You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning. The sun is starting to come over there. Well, it's really not over the horizon. You just see the little lightning in the sky out there. As far as it's getting, daylight is starting to approach us, and pretty soon, next couple of weeks, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, we'll see the sun come over the horizon. Anyway, it's just better. I tell you what, it seems like spring is here early. I got to go play with my bees this weekend, and ones out in Calhoun County are doing extremely well. I wish I could say that about the ones near the paper mill. They don't do quite as well as the ones in Calhoun County. The ones out there in the woods, I am very, very impressed what they're doing. Had to go actually do a couple splits this weekend. Did a couple walkaway splits. Had found one hive that has got blonde bees in it. I have no idea where they came from. I just know my queen is just as blonde as can be. Even the thorax, which is supposed to be black, where you put the little dot of paint on them, it's just as blonde as can be. If you're not paying attention, you look at that and go, man, that's one skinny, long bee there, and you realize it's a queen bee. Wings are real short and stubby. Like she probably won't fly away. I'm just surprised she was able to make a mating flight. But still, she's a very prolific queen, and she's really kind of nice to look at. But anyway, that's enough about my beekeeping. I enjoy doing that. That's one of the things I do. But the other thing I enjoy doing is troubleshooting problems. That's one of the things, and it's just like beekeeping. You try to figure out what the problem is, head it off at the pass, and correct it before it becomes a major problem. It's the same way taking care of your car. You make sure you change your coolant like you're supposed to. You change your oil like you're supposed to. You check the air pressure in your tires like you're supposed to. But the problem is, a lot of people don't do those things like they're supposed to. And so then all of a sudden they see a drip on the driveway, or they see a red light come on, or a yellow light come on, and they kind of ignore it. And I'm going to tell you, don't ignore those red lights. You can ignore the yellow ones to a degree, but the red lights mean something sinister. Normally means your charging system's not working. It normally means you're out of oil. It means you're running too hot. Those are the things it can mean. Now, there are exceptions to the rules. If you have a red brake light, that could mean you're driving with your emergency brake on. Or that could mean that you're just low on brake fluid. That could mean that too. I've seen that happen. But if you do have a red light, you do need to get that checked out. One of the things I teach at Gulf Coast State College, about every year or so, we have a getting to know your car, what all those lights mean, the yellow lights, the red lights, the blinking lights. What do those mean? People don't realize that cars, I think that's an optional equipment to have turn signals. But they're not optional equipment. They really are something people should use out there. But we see all these lights on your dash. You see the one for the tire pressure monitoring system. You see the one for the regenerative, where you have a diesel and it's actually doing a regen process. People have no idea what that is, and I have to explain to them what it is. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. But right now we actually have a phone call. We have Jonathan calling with his 2006 Grand Prix. Good morning, Jonathan. What is your question about your Grand Prix?
Good morning, James.
Good morning.
Yes, I do have a question. Hopefully you can help me out here.
All right, go ahead.
All right, now, I've been having a little bit of a overheating problem, so I took my car on down to the shop to get it checked out.
Right.
Looks like I need to get a new set of head gaskets. Looks like that might be the issue. But I've seen some stuff online for a product you can get at I believe you can get at any like AutoZone or O'Reilly, but it's called like the bars leak head gasket sealant.
Yeah, yes it is. It can work. It's the odds on it working. If you do it right, it's pretty good. If you do it right, but I'm gonna. If you want to try it, I'll tell you how to do it. But there's some things on there they're not going to tell you about in the instructions. I have done it before.
Okay.
My success ratio is about 50-50. It depends on how bad it is. Do you know what cylinders are doing the misfiring on you? Do you know if it's cylinder? Which ones, when you crank up, are you getting the misfire counts on? Cylinders 1, 5. Which ones are they? Do you know?
No, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, one of the things you might want to do is find out what cylinders are giving the misfires. Because does the car crank up in the morning and misfire on you?
Yes, it does.
Good. Well, first thing you need to do is, before you go much further, figure out which cylinders are doing the misfiring. There'll usually be a code in there, cylinder 1, cylinder 5, whatever it may be. Find out what those codes are. The second thing you're going to do is go buy the equipment, like go buy that ceramic stop leak or bar stop leak, whatever you want to call it. They're using ceramic is what they're using. They're actually using glass. Glass works extremely well, and first thing you're going to have to do is remove your thermostat. Remove the thermostat from the vehicle, and you're going to start the car up, and you're going to flush it completely, get every bit of antifreeze out of that system whatsoever. I'm talking about you do not want any antifreeze in the heater core, you don't want any antifreeze in the block, you don't want any antifreeze period. You just want nothing but just regular city water in it, and you really don't want that in there, but that's what you got to have. Go ahead and get it city water in there. Know what cylinders are giving you the misfire. That's the other thing you need to do. Mix up your solution. I recommend mix up the solution in hot water and have enough room in your radiator after you get everything flushed out to pour this in. Now, you know what cylinders are misfiring, so I'm going to tell you to remove those spark plugs while the car, and it's going to sound terrible. Remove those spark plugs. Is this a 6-cylinder or a 4-cylinder? Which one do you have?
This is a 6.
Okay, good. You can remove up to 2 spark plugs at a time on a 6-cylinder and make it work. So find out what cylinders are misfiring. Let's just say 1 and 3 are misfiring. So once the car is at operating temperature, you've had it running at operating temperature, you've got it hot, you've mixed up your solution, you have nothing but water in it, the thermostat's removed, you've removed the 2 spark plugs from say you've got 3 cylinders that are misfiring. Remove the spark plugs from the 2 cylinders that are misfiring, fire the vehicle up, hold it at around 1500 RPMs for about 10 minutes. And I know it gets low, and time it. And get it where you stop seeing water coming out that cylinder. And then once you do that, then stop. Let the car cool down, do its thing, and don't do anything more than that. Just give it about 30 minutes to an hour to cool down. Put those spark plugs back in the vehicle and start the vehicle up and run it again and see if you're getting any more misfires. If you're still getting misfires when it cranks up from another cylinder, remove that spark plug, repeat the process. And you do this to each time you stop seeing moisture coming out the spark plug hole. Once you get all these done, let the car sit and cool down. And then once it cools down, where you can handle it, then drain the water into a bucket. You're going to save this water. You do not do not throw it away. Save this water and take just try to get as much of that water out of it you possibly can. Leave the thermostat housing open. Take the thermostat housing open. Take the lower hose off. Let this system air dry overnight. Let it air dry overnight. The next morning, fire this next morning after it's dried up all night, you put spark plugs back in, everything's right. Put this stuff, it's air dried now, put this stuff back into the car a second time. You haven't thrown it away. You wanted it to air dry. When you let air get to it, it turns into a glass. Now your entire system inside the car is sealed with glass. The head gasket bolts are sealed with glass. Everything is sealed with glass and it's hardened. And then what you try to do is make sure you don't have any more misfires. Make sure it doesn't run hot on you sitting still. If it does continue to run hot or misfire, start this process all over again. You still got the thermostat out. You may have to do it twice. And then once you make absolutely sure that you're not having any more misfires when this car starts up and it doesn't seem to be running hot, then you remove the antifreeze, remove this stuff you got in there, this water with coolant, put your thermostat back in it, and do a complete coolant exchange by adding a 50-50 mixture of antifreeze. If you do that, the odds are it'll probably work, but it's going to take, you're talking about spending between 4 to 8 hours worth of labor doing this work in your backyard. It's a lot easier than having to pull the heads off.
Yeah, and then he'll still have a problem with the coolant exchange at the end of the process.
Then that's the problem at the coolant exchange at the end of the process. You really need to, as the coolant heats up and it pushes out, new coolant comes in. So you may need to find a shop that can do a great job, a much better job than you can, you having a coolant exchange machine to make sure that it does right. Does that help you out, Sir Jonathan? I don't know if I've helped you out or not, but this stuff can work, but it's kind of labor intensive. And it doesn't work real fast.
And there's really no guarantee.
And there's no guarantee, but I have seen it work. I've had, it's about a 50-50 crapshoot. But what I would recommend, Jonathan, is that's a symptom. The reason you've got a blown head gasket is your radiator's no good, or your water pump's leaking, or you ran out of fluid, or you burst a hose or a thermostat. This is a symptom. You need, from my humble opinion, I would change the radiator, pull the heads, put it back on there, and not worry about it again. till you got ready to throw away the car. But this is a symptom, Jonathan. You got the 3.4 in this one, or the 3.8?
The 3.4.
3.4. They're good engines, and this will work on them, but it's like I said, it's labor intensive. It really is to do it right. So repeat back to me, basically, make sure you understand what you're going to do. What are you going to do to this car? You're going to remove what?
I'm going to remove the spark plugs from the misfiring cylinders.
Make sure you know which ones they are, all right? You're going to make sure you remove the thermostat too once you figure out which ones they are, and get all the antifreeze out of this. Every bit. You can't have any antifreeze at all in this. I know they say it'll work with antifreeze. Trust me, it won't. Just get rid of all the antifreeze you can out of it, or you'll be fighting this thing for 6 months. Just get all the antifreeze where there's nothing but water in it. Put the stuff in there, let it run. It's going to sound terrible. Get the leaks to stop. Once you think you've got all your leaks stopped, put the spark plugs back in, fire it back up, make sure it doesn't miss. If you don't feel any missing and it runs like it's supposed to and it's not running hot, remove the antifreeze, open up the thermostat housing. Just get this thing where it's completely air dry. Save that coolant just in case the next morning it still messes up on you. Let it air dry overnight. The next morning, after it's air dried, reinstall this liquid you pulled back out and try it again and see how it works. If it still misfires, repeat the process. You've already got the stuff inside there, and do it all over again. Sometimes it takes 2 to 3 days to get it to stop misfiring and running hot. Hope that helps you out, Jonathan.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, you're very welcome. All right.
Thank
you so much. I'm going to put this on YouTube because I don't know how many people I have call me and say, I have found this great stuff that's supposed to stop head gaskets from leaking. And I go, yeah, it may work, but it's pretty labor intensive. For the amount of time it takes you to do this, you can pull the heads off, go get a machine, put them back on, and you're done for it. But remember, head gaskets blow for a reason. That's a symptom. They don't blow without a reason. I am serious. I see so many people say, well, my head gasket's blown, I'm going to have to put head gaskets on. And they do that, they do it all back together again, and they drive the car, and 2 months later they have the same problem again sitting in traffic. They didn't bother to fix what caused the problem. Maybe they got a cooling fan that doesn't work when it gets hot. Maybe they got a thermostat that gets stuck intermittently. They didn't change it. Or maybe, just maybe, that 2006 car that's 11 years old has a clogged radiator that should have been changed probably 5 years ago, and it's just by the grace of God you've got as many miles on it you have. Remember, radiators are only good for about 10 years at the longest, or about 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. Remember, a radiator should be getting rid of in this climate down here, not talking about Colorado where the humidity is different. With the humidity we have here and the temperatures we have here, when it's about an 80-degree day outside and about 80% humidity, you should be getting rid of 30 degrees of heat between the top hose and the bottom hose. If you're not getting rid of 30 degrees of heat at idle with the air conditioning, all the fans on, and you're getting less than that, you may have a problem with your cooling system that needs to be taken care of as quickly as you possibly can before you end up like Jonathan with a blown head gasket and several $100s worth of repair. Hey, this is James Morris. You got a car question, give us a call, 850-763-0555. We're here Monday through Friday from 6 to 6:30 answering your automotive questions. Bye-bye, everybody.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.